Here's an update on my third bush to bonsai that I've done. As you can see, it's pretty full and healthy. So I'll give you a quick walkthrough of how we got here, and then we'll do some trimming and look at the plan for the future. So this was back in February of 2024. I found this huge plant slash tree on Marketplace for $100. Couldn't resist, so I had to get it. I mean, this thing was massive. Quite the tree indeed. So I couldn't resist it. So naturally, I hacked it down, like any normal person would. Got some pretty decent cuttings out of it, which we'll cover in a different video. So it took a while. This was kind of a rough view of where I got it that day. And then here's an idea of what I did with some of the cuttings. I didn't keep all of the branches as cuttings, but some select few. And I would bundle them up like so. And then I would just turn it into a fusion. Put it in water and let them grow. Here it is a month later. So it started to grow back a little bit, which is always a good sign after you do a big butchery job like I just did. So you can see it back budding all over the place. The goal was to get it to back bud down lower on the trunks. And particularly there's one trouble trunk, which you'll see more of here. But I'm sort of thinking about turning this into kind of a clump style. As you can see, it lends itself really well to it. Here it is a month after that. I'm moving, so it's all wrapped up with plastic and just getting ready to move it. But as you can see, it grew out quite a bit in this past month. It's kind of long, scraggly growth, you know, that early spring type growth, but still nice and healthy. And by long, scraggly growth, I mean growing in all the wrong directions and every which way. Here it is a month after that, in May. So this is now month 3, and there's my noble steed, little bonsai dog, Luna. So this is now 3 months after I originally bought it and chopped it down. There it is at the new house. It's grown out quite a bit. Here it is just a couple days later. I decided to trim it up and get it ready for a good growing season. Keep in mind, this is sort of likely going to be a longer term project, so as I'm pruning it up, I'm not really going for style points necessarily. I mean, when I can prune it to, structure and style that I want, then I do, but I don't really expect much of that right now. I'm looking for stuff like this. See how there's like 8 or 9 little branches coming out of the same spot? We don't want that. So I just want to nip it in the bud now, especially since we're just heading into a growing season. So if I can get rid of that incorrect growth, I'll call it, get it going down the right path, it'll just be less work later on. It's really hard to tell what's going on in there. I mean, unlike a single trunk type bonsai where you can sort of just tell where branches are and where they're supposed to be, this has multiple trunks. So there's branches coming from up, down, inside, left, right, every which way. So it's a little tough to tell. So pruning it takes longer because with Ficus Benjamina, you have to leave some foliage on the branch or else the branch will die back completely. So if you go making big chops on big branches that you want and there's no foliage, the whole branch will just die. So you gotta be careful not to do that. It's got this crazy root structure. Also a lot of gnats. See all those gnats? We're gonna address that in a minute here too. But you can kind of see the challenge there where it's tough to tell where some of these branches are coming from. So it just takes a while. And there it is. So that's how it looked that day after pruning it back and getting it ready for the growing season. Kind of scraggly and awkward. Now it's time for a good neem oil shower to kill off those gnats. Typically I just soak it down, and I am pretty generous with it. I don't skimp out. I really soak it down. I try to squirt underneath leaves and everything. Here it is on the 4th of July, a couple months later. And sorry the video is a little bit wavy there. I used an AI stabilization program to try and stabilize it. And it kind of worked, but it kind of made it look a little wonky. So bear with me just on this little clip. But as you can see, here it is early July and it's looking good. Healthy, full, growing. Super happy with that. And here it is as of now. I chose now as the time to prune it back again because it's right in the middle of summer and it's super full. So there's still time, even if I hack it way back again, for it to grow back. So now let's see if I can lift this thing over and put it on the stool. It's heavier than it looks. To be completely honest, I'm looking to make sure there's no spiders on there before I grab it. There weren't any. So there it is. I look at this and projects like this sort of like a big blank slate. I mean, with branches coming out everywhere, you just have unlimited options on what you can do. But I kind of have an idea already of what I want to do. Also, I forgot I wired this up at one point. There was one branch in particular that I just wanted to go a different way. Then it got covered up with leaves and I forgot. So I'm sure that wire has now bitten into the bark. Let's see that back budding down there below. That's a good sign. If you've seen any of my previous bush to bonsai videos, like I say, I've done 3 different projects now that I'm working on. And in the titles, you'll see Bush to Bonsai 1, 2, and 3. And then, 3.1, 3.2 for part 2, 3.3 for part 3. Anyways, if you've seen any of the previous ones, getting them to back bud lower on the trunk has been kind of the goal on all of them. And so far, I haven't achieved it on any of them, except this one. So where to start? You just start. How do you eat a whale? One bite at a time. So I just take little bites. Start nipping away at it. I don't get too aggressive and bold because I just want to make sure I'm not getting rid of any branches that I'm going to need. So I just sort of nip my way in there. Sometimes you gotta stop and take a look around. So I did. There was this rainbow. It has been 105 degrees every day for like 10 days straight. And then today it rained for like 5 minutes and it was a rainbow. So I thought it was cool. Thank you for looking at my rainbow. So here's a quick status check. Still not quite done, but I've made some pretty good progress and can kind of see a little bit better of what's going on. The tricky part is figuring out where some of that inner growth is coming from. So like I said, there's a couple of big trunks that I want to back bud, and I want to see if any of them are coming from that. In the meantime, let's see how this looks. Yeah, that wire bit right into the bark. Unfortunate, but that's okay. It's not exactly show ready at this point anyway. As for the roots, there's a lot of those big potato roots, you know, the bulbous type roots, which most of the time you don't want. In this particular case, I kind of still am on the fence with what to do with them. I love this exposed root look of it, but I just wish that it had the right kind of taper instead of being big bulbous roots. Those are dead ladybugs, and that is sawdust in there. So I bought a little tub of ladybugs at the store for $10. Threw some of them on there, some on the rest of the benches. The next day they were all gone. Watch my $10 fly away. So there's some growth. That's what I'm kind of interested to see. It's real hard to tell where it's coming from. So I do a little digging, get some of that sawdust and dead ladybugs out of there. So there's another good example of what I'm up against. You can see just who knows how many branches are coming out of one spot. But you don't want that because, of course, then you get, just like those roots had big reverse taper, that's what you'll get on the trunk. It'll be big and grown out in one spot and then skinnier down below, and it just looks awkward and unnatural and weird. Some on the backside, and as I start to get my way in there, it slowly dawns on me. You'll see in a minute here. There it is. You can probably see it now. See that branch going off to the left like that? I'm making my way in there. You'll see it here in a minute. It's completely unnecessary. Right there. That's the spot. We don't need that at all. There's branches going to the right that we want. The ones going to the left just cross other trunks, and we don't want that at all. So we're just going to get rid of it. Goodbye, left branch. Maybe we'll make a cutting out of it, because I definitely need more cuttings. Also today I did a lot of this where there was those, just squared off cut points. Trying to chip away at it and smooth it out so that they'll start to look more natural over time. I mean, you could always leave those squared off cut points and they'll just harden off and then eventually just rot away. Or you could give it a little boost like this. Another quick status check here. We're really starting to make some headway now where I can see what kind of growth to keep and what to get rid of. That is back budding. That is back budding on the exact trunk that I wanted back budding on, as you can see. So it's kind of the extreme opposite. It's all the way at the bottom, but hey, it's back budding on the right trunk, so we're going to let that grow. And my theory is that that will encourage more back budding on that trunk. Once one starts, it will just get the sap flowing and more back budding will occur. And then here's a couple other examples of where I can take it down lower. Big extra trunk there that I don't need. Another quick status check. At this point, it's 9:30, almost 10 o'clock, I think, at night. It's getting dark. late, so I have to call it a night at this point, but I come right back out the next morning, or not next morning, but next day. Here we are the next day. Don't have much left, but I do have all that growth up top that I need to figure out what to do with. So I chip away at it. I want to take it back as low as I can because that will again encourage back budding. If I let it grow out up top, then that's where all the growth will want to go. So it's kind of hard to tell at this angle, but there are about 3 main branches there. I'm going to keep the lower one or 2 and get rid of the top one. Timber. So it's looking good. And by good, I mean it's going the way I want it to go. The part I'd emphasize, this is a long-term project. I don't expect it to be in good show condition anytime soon. But it's got all the potential of a good clump-style ficus bonsai. Once I get the growth in the right spots and I can start focusing on more ramification and that type of thing, then I think we got something going for us here. So here's another one of the cut points that I smoothed out a little bit. I ended up putting some cut paste on all these cuts. I always try to make it at a sloped angle if I can, just so as water hits it, it doesn't pool up on top and then soak in and rot. It'll kind of run off. I do a little more work off camera with some of those cut points as well, because it's kind of just tedious work, not very exciting. But here's a final look at today's work in mid to late July 2024. Got it trimmed way back, got it going in the right directions that I want it to go. Still lots of time left in the growing season for it to fill back out. Let me know what you think. Leave me some comments, perspectives, ideas. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate everybody who watches and subscribes. Thanks, and have a good rest of your day, everybody.